What's the most gut-wrenching thing your partner has ever done to you? We started dating in September of 2021. It was the typical teenage romance. We had our first kiss together and spent every second we could with one another. Eventually we moved in together during December of 2022. All was well for a few months. We got an apartment fairly close to where she and I both worked an assembly line for engines. It's a two-building complex with her being stationed in one building and I in the other, so we aren't around each other at all during the day. This led to both of us having our own friend groups at work while having time to ourselves at home. I hear a lot of stories about what she and her friends do during this time, most of whom were male. I had no problem with this. I trusted her completely and thought our relationship was solid enough to not worry about it. Enter Chase. I hear about what a complete doofus he is on the work line and what they do to pass the time. She comes home one day with a little paper tank he made. Same stuff she gets up to with all of her friends at work. I don't exactly know how their relationship functioned at work, but by talking to people in that area, it was a lot closer than she let on. It started escalating when he invited her to start working out with him at the local gym. She accepted and let me know about it all as well. Then she started going more often. I support her in whatever she'd like to do. She started inviting him over to hang out and I thought it was awesome because he was a cool guy. But then things took a turn for the worst. She started going over to his house to hang out and get drunk. The first time she did this, they got so plastered that they passed out without letting me know they planned on getting that drunk. I stayed up all night waiting for her, calling to check, going over to his place to knock and see what was going on. No answer. She got home the next day and we talked about it. She promised that she'd communicate better with me, so I let it slide. She started going over more often, staying over more often, and talking about him all the time. I was jealous, but I trusted her. And I was truly happy she had someone to hang with since I'm not much of a drinker myself. This went on until late January, early February this year. Then she started acting sullen, withdrawn, and saying she just needed space. And of course, I obliged. During this time, she told her best friend that at a night over at Chase's herself, his girlfriend and another coworker all got hammered and blacked out. And during that time, Chase assaulted my girlfriend. I'd come to find out later that everything in that sentence was a bold-faced lie. Her friend tried to get my girl to tell me but she refused. After a while, her friend would tell me because she couldn't have it in her conscience. For this, Mary, my girlfriend, cuts her off entirely for going behind her back. Mary tells me when she gets home, but instead of saying Chase assaulted her, she says it was the other coworker. I asked her if she wanted to get a kit and she refused. She took a pregnancy test but never showed me. And now she went over to Chase's house more because he felt guilty for what happened to her. This goes on for a few weeks, her being extremely withdrawn and asking for space then spending every chance she gets at Chase's. Until one day, says she needs space and goes over to Chase's house for what she says will be 2 weeks. She says the passion has gone out of our relationship, even though she asked for space and she needs time for herself. I asked her if she had feelings for Chase, and she promised he was like a brother to her. And as for the image linked to this, she tells her mom she's staying with a female coworker. The 2 weeks turned into 3 months. I gave her the space she needed and I didn't contact her for the first week or so. But our communication eventually started up again. I tell her good morning and good night, check up on her from time to time and just try to be there for her. She keeps saying she just needs space and that I'm still the person she loves. It seemed like every night she got drunk. Some nights she got hammered enough to send a breakup text, but walked it back the next morning. The next time I saw her was in the middle of the night at the end of the 3 months. It was not because she was ready and wanted to see me, but because she got pissed at Chase. And through all of this, I trusted her. I told myself she hadn't done anything to not be trusted. I asked if she had feelings for him, and she still said no, despite her going out on dates with him to museums and dine-in plays, which she framed as class projects for his college. That's when things started to fall apart for us. We went to get groceries together, pick up her prescription, and stopped by to get cat litter and some plants for her garden on our balcony. She was about to leave and go back to Chase's house when I got the bright idea to check her phone. I opened her messages with Chase and they were surprisingly short. It looked like a lot of them had been deleted. But what she forgot to delete was him asking for pics and her sending them. I was furious. So I confronted her. She said that she wanted to feel pretty and that her and Chase are entirely platonic. Then she left. I texted her the next morning asking to make it work. Despite everything, I still loved her. She says she wanted to, but was just her usual withdrawn self. She made no attempt to engage or do anything. Like a kid who's in their own head waiting for whatever is happening in front of them to be over. She thinks it's best to break up and said she's not in the right headspace for a relationship. I made her move her stuff that day. I'm still sad and lonely at what's now my place. There's still some of her stuff here, as well as her cat, because Chase's place was smaller and didn't allow animals. She comes by about a month later to finalize and grabs some things. But after she left, I noticed something she chose to leave behind, her old phone. And it was still logged into her Samsung account. To my horror, I found texts between her and Chase saying I love you, the day after she moved out. I knew at this point that she had been in a relationship with him and was lying to me the whole time. I decided to call her mom to see if she knew what was going on with her daughter. She was absolutely surprised by what I had to say and suggested that we meet up. Mary's former best friend, her mom, stepdad, and one of her brothers, and I decided to meet up for lunch to compare stories. Unsurprisingly, none of them matched. Mary told her mom that she moved in with a female coworker and got the same story about how the coworker had assaulted her. And she told her friend that there was no such thing as Chase's girlfriend and the coworker was not there the night of the attack. She said it was just her and Chase and that they had hooked up. I showed her mom everything I had in text, both from Mary's phone and mine. At the end of this meeting, we were all pissed. I just asked Mary one more time what really happened. and I still don't know the extent of her relationship, but the gist of it is they started talking when they started going to the gym together. They got drunk one night and screwed. She felt guilty, tried to say it was assault, but still wanted to be with him, and it escalated to a full-scale relationship. She resisted telling me all of this at first, trying to blow me off and say she'll block me, but I got the answers I needed. At this point, everyone is done with her. All of her former friends have blocked her. Her mother wants nothing to do with her and she just got fired from her job.